Now that the sheep are gone, if you haven't seen Plandemic,
I think this was all planned by the Democratic Party.
Do you believe the numbers and the news that's being reported by the mainstream news media?
You've been brainwashed.
You cannot escape God, not even with the mask or 6 feet.
He's blowing the lid off the COVID scandal, the scamdemic.
There's not enough to make this a pandemic. This is a planned demic.
YouTube, all these different companies do not like what you're saying.
And if any of you are in the deep state, you're going down with it.
Ever since the COVID-19 outbreak, there have been many conspiracy theories about how this might have happened. People believe that the global elite are using the new coronavirus with the purpose to wipe out the world's population, or simply just to make profit from the vaccines. And we're here now to debunk these conspiracy theories, starting with one of the most popular ones. The 5G network spread the virus.
This is just one of over a dozen fires targeting 5G towers in the Netherlands. And the country isn't alone. Cyprus, Belgium and Ireland among those home to conspiracy theorists who believe 5G may have some connection to COVID-19.
According to Daniel Pipe's analytical tools, one of the distinctive features of evidence is obscurity, stating that on the assumption that appearances deceive, they reject conventional information and seek out exotic and little-known variants. A taste for the improbable and the occult gives the data a distinct and recognizable quality. The genre of conspiracy theories linked to wireless technology has been around for decades, and the debate over whether things like cell phones lead to brain cancer or mind control has gained newfound relevance with the rollout of 5G technology. Some theories postulate that 5G, like earlier generations of cellular technology, also causes cancer. Others are more extreme, suggesting that the technology can cause electromagnetic sensitivity, bringing about headaches and harming the immune system. It maintains that while 5G didn't cause coronavirus in the first place, it does impact the immune system, potentially worsening symptoms and speeding up the spread of the virus. There's just one problem. The radio waves emitted by cell towers are nowhere near as high as they would need to be to cause any health issues. At extremely high frequencies, electromagnetic waves could potentially cause health issues. But the waves emitted by 5G towers aren't just lower than that. They're way lower. A number of scientific studies have been conducted on the link between non-ionizing waves, which are used for TV transmissions, and yes, 5G and human health. Some organizations suggest that more research needs to be conducted, but at this point in time, there is no reliable evidence proving 5G waves can impact the human immune system. One of the first people to believe 5G is a global conspiracy to cull the population is David Icke. His followers claim that he is a world-renowned scientist who is being haunted by the medical industry for saying the truth. In reality, he's just a former football player, sports pundit, and a Holocaust denier who happens to have published 20 books about the most asinine conspiracy theories you can find out there. I wonder if he has any agenda by pushing this 5G narrative before his new book comes out. Moving on to another popular conspiracy theory related to COVID-19 is how people believe that the wealthy elites like Bill Gates or world leaders intentionally spread the virus to win power and profit. For this conspiracy theory, we will be using the peeling on distinctive features of evidence to prove how ridiculous this conspiracy theory is.
Nobody would have predicted that I and Dr. Fauci would be so prominent in, really kind of evil theories about, did we create the pandemic? Are we trying to profit from it? And on and on. And so, I'm very surprised by that. I hope it goes away.
There is no evidence that Fauci or Gates has benefited from the pandemic or profited from a vaccine. In fact, Fauci has sounded alarms throughout the pandemic about the risks of the virus, And Gates has a long history of philanthropy geared towards eliminating communicable diseases. And when we ask the question, why would they do it? We're given answers with even more conspiracy theories that don't seem to make any sense. If we think about it, why would Bill Gates create an elaborate mass murder scheme over decades to make a few $1 million while he both has more and has given away even more than what he could have made on a successful vaccine? And why would any government use a weapon that they cannot control and most likely will backfire? There's even a conspiracy theory that this is a scheme so the governments wouldn't have to pay pension. But does saving that sweet pension money makes any sense if we are facing the biggest economic meltdown of the past hundreds of years? According to sociologists and cultural anthropologists, we are accustomed to receiving brief and superficial information about things on the internet, and we yearn for deeper explanations about cultural narratives, explanations that are rarely provided.
We found that Americans are really bad at correctly identifying fake news as fake. The more you rely on social media for your news, the more likely you are to be prone to this dynamic where you're not only failing to identify fake news as fake, but the factual information as true.
Misinformation has been around forever, but the internet and social media have made it much harder to counter. What the internet allows it to do is spread really far, really fast, and hit a lot of people. By the time anyone realizes that it's false and has started to debunk it, it's already spread to maybe millions of people. In the past few years, the governments of some countries have used the rise of nationalism and populism to split society into two opposing camps and stir up hatred against foreigners and foreign countries. However, the global outbreak of the epidemic shows that the virus does not discriminate against different social groups and countries. Some countries have acted independently and nationalized medical facilities and supplies in the private sector. The United States have received more criticism for its attempt to stop the acquisition of masks, chemical agents, and ventilators. Some concerns developing and poorer countries would not generally benefit from vaccines developed in laboratories in rich countries. Regardless of the outcome of our choices today, after the epidemic, we will still be social animals, and this will not change. Viruses are exploiting the best in human nature, the part in us that expresses our emotions and cares for the sick. Viruses use this to infect us. Now we are forced to increase our social distance and be more sensible, using reason instead of emotional intelligence to determine our behavior. However, humans are not social animals, and this is hard for us to do. When the crisis is over, people will feel the need for social bonds more than ever.